Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, January 10th, 2025. As we've got less than 10 days, actually 11 days left until we get the truth on what's going on with these drones that the Biden administration has been so content with covering up. On that note, we've got a heck of an audience hanging out right now. It's time to go ahead and get into the studio and go ahead and welcome in our chat. Who do we have out there in the chat? Let me get the drums up and going. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see who the heck we have out there. Let me bring up the list, checking it twice. Let's find out who's been naughty and nice. All right, we've got Abby Araxis out there along with Al Duff. We've got Anne Marie, Anton Ghost. Azrael's here along with CB. Cindy's here along with Country Carpenter, Craig Smith, Dana Ryder. Good to see all my friends. Also want to welcome in Eric Roth and the Gurus, Ian Tate. Fireflies are on along with Frank Einstein. Frank Rapp is here along with Frazzle says. Gray Hair Discoveries popped in along with Hemi God. Oh my God, you must love Dodges, my friend. It's all over your name. Let's also welcome in Heiser Soze, Jack Gingers, James Bolia, James W. here, Jan. You must be feeling nice and refreshed, my dear lady. Good to see you. Jason's here along with JCat, Jeremy Perry, Joe L. Nunberg is around along with John Mover. We got John Zeit Vogel. I had a Ms. Vogel back in school. She was a Ms. Vogel, if you know what I mean. Yeah, the girls back in middle school, they used to say how she was staring. Not sorry. Let's get into a different one. Let's welcome in Joker Mojo, Johnny UFO, Joseph Wilson's here along with Juliana. Good to see you, Juliana. We've got Kane, Kathy, and Kelly Barot, those piercing blue eyes. Clippers here along with Cody. We've got Lit Clicker along with, you got me, my friend. I started and I finished it. Lucky 81 Jules here along with Ludo's dad. Mark Loves here along with Miss DeMarcus and the Mandels. Marvin the Martian's around along with Michael Turtleman. Mick Mix is here. Mike Disclosure along with Mike Morrison and Mr. Catfish. 2100 Europe to Europe, Mr. Catfish. Good to see you, my friend. Also want to welcome in Joey B, Nancy Kuzmano. Necessary Dialogues here along with Niles Guy. Nowhere Fast. Oh, Niles Guy. I got to fix him eventually. Nowhere Fast. Omar. Good to see you. Yeah, someone said you need to be a mod, Niles Guy. I got to do that shortly. Paladin Ephesius is around along with Paul Damon, Paul Enzo, Random's here along with Rough Ready, Sam, Solaris 142 IC, along with some cat on the internet with a K. Let's welcome in Sprightly Sprites Gemstone Crystal Mineral Magic, the longest name that pops up on the screen. Steve Hines is here along with Steve Taylor. We've got Terrence Bruce, the Salamander Wilds. Tia Maria is here. I see Tim Tracy, Toxic Revenger, Two Heads 666. Ty Grail is around along with Wyan Hewitt, Whiskey Shreds, and Yankee 58. I think I got through all the names all right on that one, my friends. On that note, it's time to go ahead and take a look of who we have in the back and start our introductions. You know what that means, my friends. Let's take a look who we've got as our panelists in the back today. All right, who's our first person out there? Well, let's welcome in Alice W. How's it going, Alice?
Hey, Thomas, it's great. How are you?
Great to see you, my friend. And don't be afraid to ask questions. There's a variety of people here on Disclosure tonight. Some who know some who know less. But you know what? I've always appreciated all the feedback you've given us, my dear lady.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Next, coming to us from Bristol, United Kingdom. Let's welcome in our dear friend Andy W. How's it going, Andy?
Hi, Thomas. Yeah, just got into a freezing cold house, so it's lovely here.
Well, great to have you here, my friend. Also in the back, let's take a look and see. Well, he hasn't been here in a long time. Holy cow. Let's welcome an Anonymous Rex. How's it going, Tim?
It's going great, Thomas. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you around, my friend. Also in the back, we've got someone new, Daniel. How's it going, Daniel?
Well, very good, sir. I hope I can add something to your conversation. When I'm not in the back, I always have something to say.
Well,
my wife doesn't want to hear it anymore.
Well, let's hear it. I'd love to hear it, my friend, as things go on. Just raise your hand, and then when I call on you, unmute yourself. It makes it a lot easier for all of us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Also want to welcome our friend coming from the Southwest. Let's welcome our dear friend, Ed Brown. How's it going, Ed?
It's going real well, Thomas. Good to be here with you tonight. Looking forward to the show. And I know we got some important things to talk about.
Well, you better believe it. Well, our next friend coming in is coming from the great state of Canada. No, not a state yet, but let's welcome from the great country of Canada. Let's welcome in Freezerman71. How's it going, Freezerman?
I'm doing good, Thomas. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you as well. Well, our next friend is coming from the upper Midwest. Let's welcome in our remote viewing targeter, Laura Campbell. How's it going, Laura?
It's going great, Thomas. Just feeling thankful and glad to get our mind off the news right now.
Well, it's not the 11th yet, but you took your Christmas tree down already.
No, it's still there.
Oh, there you go. Wonderful. Isn't it the 11th or so we leave it up for, something like that?
There's a 12th, I think, Catholics or
Yes.
something, the 12th night. I'm not Catholic, so I do what I want.
Yeah, exactly. Leave it up all year round for as far as I care. They're beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Our next friend is also from the United Kingdom, but he's been cooking some phenomenal French bread. Let's welcome in Lord McCormick. How's it going, Lord?
Hi, Thomas. It's good to be with you and the rest of the DT family. Looking forward to a good show. It's been a mad first 10 days of the year, yeah?
Oh, yeah, and it's going to be getting better. It's going to be getting better, at least fingers crossed, my friend. Also, let's not put our sights on, let's turn the world upside down and shake it like a snow globe and see who pops out. Well, it's none of your business, but it's actually Susan Ford. How's it going, Susan?
This is really good. I've missed you guys this week. It's been a kind of a boring week.
Well, it was boring for Disclosure a bunch of days. There are some things that popped up that we're covering tonight, but yeah, it's one of those times. Things are happening, things are quiet, but you know how that goes.
Yep.
Yes, thank you for coming in, Susan. Also, let's welcome in Mr. Survey himself, Rick Roberts. How's it going, Rick?
Happy Friday, doing good. Looking forward to the show.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming in. Well, we put our sights back on the East Coast. Let's welcome in Tia Maria. How's it going, Tia?
Hey, Thomas. How you doing, friend?
Good. Doing pretty well. Hanging in there.
Good. How's Mocha?
Around here somewhere. You'll see her popping up eventually, I have a feeling.
Good. Good.
Thanks for coming out. Absolutely. Also in the back, we've got our last friend in for today. Let's welcome in TVT. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, guys. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to Disclosure coming soon. So, Trump's gonna break the seal, I guess.
I would hope so, my friend. I would hope so. On that note, let me welcome in.
Can I just dive in? Sorry.
Yes.
People in chat are saying there's an issue coming through for us in the back chat. Our sound.
It is
coming through with reverb.
Oh, reverb. Hold on. If there is reverb, let me quiet you guys down. Talk again.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me turn down my.
Through? Echo.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bit of an echo coming in from. It shouldn't be going on, but it is. Let me just turn it down a little bit. This should take care of it now, I would hope. I'm not going to be able to hear anything people are saying, but at least it should take care of the reverb.
Let us know in chat, everybody, please. Let me know.
No, I can see right now that it's not popping up. I thought I had turned it down a bit, but apparently, yeah, I can't wait to get rid of this wonderful audio interface for this mic that sucks. Thank you very much. On that note, back to it. Mike, Disclosure. How's it going, Mike?
Oh, it's going as well as can be expected with new additions to the family. But I think we're going to have a great Friday night show for everybody. A lot to talk about, a lot to cover. We're going to recap the week. And this upcoming, the end of this month is when the new administration kicks in. I think we're going to have an interesting 2025 as far as disclosure is concerned.
I would almost think it's something more of not necessarily, let me try and get this here. I need to find my bookmarks. End of the month, I think it's almost a little bit past the middle of the month because there's, it should be one of those great days. Now, I know I've got this one video report on here, starting off on the news, talking about drones, talking about what's been going on before we get to our headline story. For those who have been under a rock, yes, President Trump address the drone situation one more time. Have you seen that video yet, Mike?
Yeah, he said he was going to be on the very first day, 21st, after he gets signed.
Let's go.
He's going to let everybody know what the government has been.
All he had to do was answer, yes, I've seen it.
Yes, I've seen it. Very interesting.
All right, let's go.
Obviously, he knows more than he's saying.
Well, shall we watch it and then talk about it?
Sure.
All right, here we go, everybody. Let's get this in here and get into here. We've got President-elect Donald Trump talking about the drone situation. More importantly, the truth he plans on bringing out relatively soon. So let me go ahead and play this. Stop it, Brave. Let me go ahead and play this and see where it takes us. All right, everybody, here we go.
A story that kind of disappeared very suddenly. Do you have any idea whatever happened to the drones?
What happened to drones?
Well, you said that you knew you thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey. There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place, too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. And I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think, will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Is it dangerous?
Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones. And it's
holy cow! I need to bring this up, Mike. Mike, this is news. These are news stories, basically saying that. Well, I didn't hear this about the drone, about there being drones over the nuclear power plants in Louisiana at the time the bomber situation was going off.
Right. No, I understand. And if you listen carefully to the breadcrumbs that I believe are being dropped, the governor of Virginia, he made a point about how this is a digital surveillance being conducted.
Yeah.
That's not something that was ever released or talked about before, and the government certainly doesn't want the public to know about that. So obviously, these drones are conducting incursions to violate national security, and the current administration doesn't want the public or the rest of the world to know that they're not able to do their job and prevent this from happening.
I would say they've been acting like they're paralyzed and there's nothing they could do, kind of like the government in Los Angeles has been paralyzed and setting up for the fire season.
Right. And speaking of the government in Los Angeles, Newsom is trying to make the state of California Trump-proof. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds ominous. They're digging in with what's going to about to be coming for 2025. It doesn't sound or look good, but getting back to the drones, this is real interesting little tidbits that are coming out between the nuclear power plants and digital surveillance being conducted for 2 years running, and there's nothing that the current government has been able to do about it. Let's see what else they have to say in this video.
Absolutely. Let's continue on. Here we go.
sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor. You going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it, and nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it. That could be us sending drones. I hope that's the case, us doing it and doing research, and maybe they don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. I hope it's not an enemy, but we're going to find out on the 21st, the day after. You have to give me a little time for the inauguration, but shortly thereafter, we'll give you a report on it. We'll tell you exactly what it is. They know, and it's very strange that they aren't talking about it.
Yeah, it is strange that they haven't been talking about it, Mike. This is one of those situations where clearly there's been a government cover-up going on. The Biden administration knows exactly what's happening, but they've been unwilling to give us the truth. Hopefully the truth isn't so bad that they think we can't handle it, but it sounds like coming from President 47, less than 10 days before he's installed. Now, before he's installed, but the truth of the matter is it's going to take 10 days until we get there. On the 11th day, we're going to get some truth coming our way, aren't we?
Well, we're going to get finally the answers that we should have had for 2 years running since this began, and we're going to finally get some insight as to what exactly it is that they've been covering up and hiding from the public. Now, the theory that it could be, our own technology and drones that is conducting digital surveillance over restricted airspace and on nuclear power plants, no, it's definitely not that. We already have all that information. We wouldn't be doing this. That's going to come out, and it's going to make the current administration look really, really bad. Or inept, like Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, I call them weak.
Yeah, weak, or no one, the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Yeah.
Seems like. Could be.
Nobody's home.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh, yes, absolutely. It's one of those things I wanted to get out there and play first. I know there's some people out there who aren't necessarily fans of the incoming president, but either way, throw your party to the side. At least we've got some coming into power that wants to give us some truth about what's been going on in our skies, eh, Mike?
Well, that's a good point, Thomas, because I think it sums it up nicely. The current administration has been, this issue and incursions have been being conducted for 2 years. Not one word.
We're a month into
Not one way to deal with this, acknowledge it, or respond to it. Kept the public completely in the dark to the point where there's been national security violations, public safety violations, and all you hear is crickets coming from the White House. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are politically on, left, right, blue, red, Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. Here on the show, we're apolitical. We're not on one side or the other. We're neutral. But we only want answers, and it doesn't matter what side will come up with those answers. We want to hear it, and I'm sure so does the public and the audience. So it's not about politics; it's about getting to the truth, and that's what we seem to be on the precipice of in about 10 days.
Oh yeah, absolutely, my friend. Now, this leads us into the top headline for today's story on Disclosure tonight, of a story coming to us from the Hill, where we're talking about some of these some of these drones that have been seen are truly UAP, and I believe that was in our bingo cards, wasn't it, Mike?
It was, Thomas. We mentioned that because the odd characteristics that were being reported didn't quite line up with prosaic drones.
No.
Of any type.
Some of them do, some of them don't. Yeah, absolutely, which we're going to be going through here shortly. On that note, there is a video intro to this article coming in from the Hill. Let's go ahead and play. This is a compilation of just different videos that have been out there about this to go ahead and set our audience up for this. Let's go ahead and bring it up and get that in there, and let's go ahead and play it. Here we go, folks. Should be all the way up. Here we go. Move them up a little higher. There you go, Leo.
This drone saga, and while we have many updates, we have few, if any, answers or real explanations as to what is going on. On a federal level, the FBI says they have really nothing to share at this time. On a background call with reporters, they said they've largely dismissed the 5,000 or so, or most of the 5,000 reported sightings as manned aircraft, but said at least 100 of these reports warrant further investigation or merit further investigation. On a state level, New Jersey Monmouth County Sheriff Sean Golden, who created this heat map, tells me that the reported sightings of these drones in Monmouth County have decreased. Now, similarly, Ocean County Sheriff Michael Mastronardi, who has the drone unit investigating, says reports of drone sightings have also decreased. But this obviously doesn't solve the mystery. The feds have repeatedly said that the spike in drone sightings does not pose national security risks, despite not being able to locate the drone operators. Or
now, I have to bring this up really quick. Mike, I definitely don't agree with him saying that these drones don't pose a national security threat unless these drones are from the federal government. What say you?
If they were from the federal government, I said it before and I'll say it again, it would not make any sense whatsoever that these drones are shutting down major international airports, emergency medevac helicopters, and going over nuclear power plants and reservoirs. Why would our own government be doing that? It's counter to what the government is supposed to be doing. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, on the East Coast, potentially, if it is our drones that are flying over the East Coast coming in, the only reason that they would go over some of the military bases could potentially be is they want to throw off the trail of people to let them think, oh my God, look, it's not just going over the population, but it's going over the military bases too. What could these things be? You know what I mean, Mike? So
if it was simply a military base,
right.
I might.
But the one they were mentioning about going over nuclear power plants, we've heard reports of going over nuclear power plants going back 20 or 30 years. And although we had the one in Louisiana, it could be something more suspicious. But when we're talking about the East Coast drones, that's more limited to what we've been kind of seeing.
Right. But the East Coast drones are also responsible for shutting down international airports. That's not something the government would do.
They wouldn't do a blue-on-blue exercise like that, would they?
No, hell no. And it's not by accident.
Yeah.
So it's not friendly fire. This is a coordinated effort that you and I have been covering the entire time. So, no, this doesn't line up as far as it's our government.
It doesn't. Not at all. If we can, we have a couple friends in the back with their hand up. First, go to Alice and then Ed and Nick. Alice?
Hi, Thomas. I can't read Trump, and I think he doesn't even know yet.
He knows
what the drones are.
He flat out knows. He knows.
Yeah. And
in the last time, not this video clip of him, but in the last time he was there saying, I don't know why they're not telling us. The president knows, the DOD knows. Why aren't they telling the people? They should tell the people.
I know he said it was crazy at one time. He said it's crazy.
He just said it again, Alice, that it's crazy that they're not telling the public what's going on.
Yeah, I can't even make heads or tails out of that.
Believe it. You know, we're
Just
talking about, I hate not to play politics on this side of it because it can go one way, flip it, or the other for that matter. He's kind of one of the few people in politics. If he says, I'm going to do all these different things when he gets elected, he actually does it. So if he says we're going to get some truth coming to us on the 21st of January, set your timers, friends, because I think there's some interesting information coming our way.
Yeah, I do believe that.
Yeah, thank you, Alice. Good question.
Thank you.
Ed, you have your hand up, my friend.
I do, Thomas. At the beginning of the show, I said this was going to be exciting, and we are now on a very exciting topic. What confuses me, and I agree with Mike completely, it does not make sense that it would be U.S. technology at all, for all the reasons that Mike mentioned and for several others. So let's assume it's not that. What else could it be? The two remaining options would be adversarial government of some type, in which case we ought to even be more scared that they can do that with impunity to fly over that airspace. Or the other one, if you want to go the UAP NHI route, maybe they are visitors from somewhere else. But the thing that is most confusing, I think, is what Trump said when he said they know what it is. I don't know why they're not telling you. And then he gives us 2 hints, but not a definitive answer. He says they may be ours, or they may be, you know, for an adversary. You think he knows? I'm not so sure he knows.
He does get national security briefings on a daily basis, so he does get briefed. He wouldn't admit to it that he was told this in a briefing, because if he did and he was talking about it.
Well, that's true too. But also remember, they could still be a USAP, and in which case maybe all he's getting is we can't tell you about this right now to your president. That's a possibility. Yeah. To your red end.
Yeah.
So
well,
I don't know, but all of us are going to be looking forward to that day right after the election, as he does 100 things on that next day that he said he was going to do. We'll see how fast those can roll.
Well, I think he's going to be busy the first day. As soon as he gets off the stage, he'll be going to the White House and signing a couple hundred executive actions.
Yeah. But remember, I think it was a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the East Coast ones, and there was sort of the assumption that they were not UAPs. Because they didn't exhibit any of those characteristics. But the thing I pointed out, and I think we still need to keep this in mind, they could be operated by an organization or an entity that has UAP capability, but yet they're trying to mimic the drones that we currently have, or commercial type drones.
Yeah.
So to make them even less visible or less, perceptible.
Yeah, time will tell on that one. I'm waiting with bated breath, because there's so many options on the bingo card, and I don't think it's going to be just one that's going to get us to call bingo. Thanks, Ed. Right. I appreciate that.
Good point, Ed. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
We'll see how it turns out.
Nick, last person with their hands up before we continue the video.
There's a reason why they look like the planes, but they're not actually the planes. It's probably just a mimicry, actually. They're just mimicking a craft to actually blend in, so we don't notice it's actually them. I think that's the logical scenario, Thomas.
That's excellent. That's a good opinion, Nick. But you know what? I guess let's hold all of our opinions out until we get some facts, right, Mike?
Yeah, exactly, Thomas. I'm with you.
Exactly. All right.
Thanks,
let's get,
Nick.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's get back to this video, finish it off. And sorry if I didn't see everyone's hand who was up there a minute ago. Let's go ahead and continue on, and then we'll get to Lord McCormick. Actually, Lord McCormick, go ahead, and then we'll get to this video.
Yeah, just a quick one. I just wanted to throw this in before it dropped out the back of my head. I wanted to mention it a couple of shows before. I can't remember. Oliver, can you just turn it off a second, please? Just for a second. So it's my eldest making a cup of tea. This guy was under Clinton's second administration, was his scientific advisor for oceanography. His name was Randolph, second or third. He gave an interview. I can't remember where I saw the interview.
Was this something else you're talking about?
Well, no. So he was essentially saying that the USA has anti-gravitic technology from sort of like they've had this for a while. And the main reason for non-disclosure isn't due to the fact that they don't want people to know.
Yeah.
It's because if Russia or China knew that they had this technology and they were maybe potentially 50, 60, maybe 100 years ahead of them, that would force Russia and China to immediately attack the United States.
Yeah, I've heard that one before, several times in the past. So it's an interesting conversation, my friend.
No worries. Just wanted to throw it in before I forgot about it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and put your hand down. Let's continue on with the video. Here we go, everybody.
Or where they're launching from. So I asked Sergeant Kevin Fennessy, who runs the drone unit with Ocean County Sheriff. I asked him specifically what they saw with their drones. Take a listen.
We had one that was flying basically at us and stopped midair and did a 180. Then we had another one that looked like as it went up, the lights just turned off on it and it was gone. Most of the ones that we've gotten reports of have all been fixed wing drones, instead of like a quadcopter like we have, which is, the body of the drone and then 4 arms that come off.
And the New Jersey police have reported seeing drones that are 6 feet wide, so there's still a disconnect between the federal narrative and the local and state narrative. Here is State Representative Brian Bergen having just been briefed by the head of the New Jersey State Police on what they saw.
Here's the most frustrating part.
the colonel of the state police said that he had a helicopter of his flying over above one of these drones, a 6-foot drone or something. I can't remember exactly what he said. And he felt unsafe for his helicopter, so he just let it go. Just let it go. Where'd it go? Who knows? Didn't want to follow it because he didn't feel safe. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard?
So recently, the FAA instituted a ban on drone flights over a large swath of New Jersey, and drone flights, reported sightings of them have decreased dramatically. So this saga appears to be fading away, but the fact remains we have so many unanswered questions from our federal government on this issue.
Yeah, lots of questions to say the absolute least. We've got this one that came to us from the Hill. Let me go ahead and get to the article on this one. Let me bring myself back up as we go ahead and cover this. Here we go. Ready, Mike?
Yes, sir. This will be a good one.
All right, let me get to this. Here we go. All right, so in recent years, mysterious drones have been hovered with impunity above sensitive government facilities, spurring urgent briefings at the White House and at the highest levels of the British government. Not only can the objects involved in these incursions evade detection and sophisticated countermeasures, they also demonstrate an array of extraordinary flight characteristics. Let me turn that off and let's get into this. To be sure, some recent drone incidents are likely espionage or intimidation operations, like some of the ones we may have seen on the East Coast or in the UK. But until conventional drone technology is conclusively linked to the most brazen incursions, these craft must be considered as UFOs, or as Congress and the government now prefer, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Yes, we still call them UFOs here on Disclosure tonight because that is the word that most people understand. Now, the UFO designation is particularly appropriate considering that several well-documented and equally perplexing incidents over sensitive nuclear facilities in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s bear a remarkable resemblance to the recent incidents. Now, for 17 nights in late 2023, for example, between 1 and 2 dozen brightly lit objects flew at one time over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. Beyond forcing the cancellation of nighttime training missions and the transfer of highly advanced fighter jets to Naval Base Oceana, the incidents left the military so perplexed that it tasked a special NASA aircraft equipped with sophisticated cameras to investigate the objects. Now, somehow, despite nightly incursions stretching over weeks, no verified imagery of the drones has emerged beyond a video showing numerous blinking lights in the sky. Now, that doesn't mean that NASA did not go ahead and get the pictures of these drones. This information, for the most part, remains classified. Now, according to Glenn Van Herrick, the recently retired commander of the North American Aerospace Defense Command, quote, our most advanced, end quote, aircraft attempted to identify the objects with extremely limited results. Senate Intelligence Committee Vice Chairman Mark Warner and Senator Tim Kaine expressed disappointment and shock, respectively, at the lack of answers regarding incidents a year following the investigation. Clearly, the people who should be going ahead and watching over and controlling the strings of the DOD is not getting the answers they require. Now, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a key member of both the Intelligence and Armed Services, what the hell? There we go. Where did that go? Sorry, it just changed. Here we go. Kirsten Gillibrand, key member of both Senate Intelligence and Armed Service Committees, stated that the government does not know what technology the objects are using. According to Gillibrand, the craft in the Langley incursions involved, quote, a type of technology that our radar did not detect them arriving. Moreover, the government documents indicate that counter-drone technology deployed against these objects failed. Well, let me just go ahead and put this out there. Potentially, it's not a problem with the drones being detected. It's more of a problem of the technology that the United States government was sold and told it could, deal with all kinds of drones of all kind of things. Apparently, whoever is dealing with these drones knows the limitation of the technology the United States is using. Now, Senator Mark Kelly, a decorated Air Force pilot and the commander of Air Combat Command, observed the incursions personally, liking the brightly illuminated objects moving across the night sky to a science fiction film, Close Encounters at Langley. Would an adversary expose an ultra-stealthy technology so dramatically and consistently in full view of the U.S. military? If so, to what end? What kind of craft, despite displaying bright flashing lights and flying in formation, can operate with complete impunity, avoiding radar and visual detection while resisting counter-drone technology above a key military base? Now, Mike, if you put it in these particular terms, that's a UAP.
It sounds a lot like it. What is it that you say all the time? If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
And floats like a duck, it's a fucking duck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Andy W., you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I find it really interesting. Back in 2023 at Langley, they actually moved the wing of the planes out of that base. Now that's pretty good for security for the planes. It's not very good for you Americans who these planes are supposed to be protecting. But I also wanted to say about with these objects that are being seen, the ones they're calling drones, where you said about the helicopter, where these things turn off their lights, they go dark. Are they still flying in that area, or are they actually moving away from, the way they're sighted? Just a few thoughts there.
Yeah, I'd say that one of the, as far as them going dark, it seems that they were going dark to go ahead and literally just stop people on the ground from observing them from what was going on. Or if another craft comes closer, they're stopping that. So it's clearly we're dealing with a situation where there's observation, there's intelligence from these craft. More importantly, there's reaction, right, Andy?
Yeah. Do these things? Do they just switch off the lights and they're still loitering around, or what? Do they actually go either somewhere or somewhere?
No, when the lights go off, it seems not that they're scurrying away. They're just turning off the lights and continuing what they've been doing.
Yeah. So they don't. If they're continuing what they're doing, they don't need to be illuminated anyway. So that's
Yeah. It's an alarming situation to have these kind of incursions going on year after year, month after month over our military bases, over our nuclear reactors, over sites where we have radiological material. And our government is just acting like, I see nothing, I hear nothing, and I say nothing. TVT, have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, what's been kind of interesting that I've noticed online is with the fires in Las Vegas that are going on.
Los Angeles, yes.
Sorry, Los Angeles. Yeah, there's been several drone sightings of these things flying through the smoke, and I guess one of the bomber planes that pick up the water had an impact with one recently too.
Well, it is LA. And there are tons of people around there with drones for going in and trying to record it. I would say probably without a shadow of a doubt that the water tanker that came from Canada, it has a small little impact over its wing that they could put their magic tape over to a degree to get that bird back in the air again. But that just sounds like an honest drone impact of, looky-loos trying to go ahead and get the greatest coverage to scoop everybody else. What do you think, Mike?
I thought that too, but I also remembered the jet that had the one sucked into the engine not too long ago.
It impacted the engine. It actually wasn't sucked through it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that kind of raised my interest.
But that was at
That's why
27,000 feet, not right above, not within 400 feet above ground.
But roughly
Little
the same
difference.
size then.
What?
I said roughly the same size then.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
The little ding that was on in front of the jet was a relatively small ding in the wing, but different part of the country, different thing. But I appreciate your thoughts. What do you think, Mike?
No, I think you're right, Thomas. I think that those two instances with the that he was talking about with the tanker, the water tanker, was a prosaic drone.
Yeah.
Especially at that altitude. But there's no further information on that other incident that took place at 27,000 feet. So we don't know what that object actually was, so can't comment on it without more information
No.
and data.
It's just limited information, and we're just throwing darts, blindfolded without even knowing where the board is. Ed Brown, do you have your hand up?
Well, I was just going to comment the danger that we have is that there's a lot more civilian drones being flown, a lot more commercial drones being flown. So I think we're going to see an influx of collisions, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
As the population out there starts increasing. And something to keep in mind, we're talking about the relative size of those. The force that it's going to strike is going to be proportioned to the speed and the weight of the object. So a 2-pound drone does half the damage that a 4-pound drone would do when it strikes something. Example.
Excellent. Thanks for that insight, Ed. That's a great way to go ahead and look at it. Now, getting back to the story at hand to a degree, even the FAA administrator, Steve Dixon, has recently noted, not too long ago, we would have called all of these things UFOs. His chief of staff responded, but now everything is being called a drone. Does that sound accurate to you, Mike?
Oh, yeah. It's the new buzzword for UAP. Now everything is a drone.
Yeah.
So it'll die down.
Yeah.
It'll go back to normal. So
now, if we turn the clocks back to 2019, dozens of unknown drones swarmed numerous U.S. Navy warships off the coast of Southern California. Over the course of several months, mysterious, brightly illuminated objects hovered and maneuvered around the vessels, prompting a sweeping investigation. Some of the more perplexing incidents took place well over 100 miles off the coast of San Diego, but we've never gotten an answer on any of those incursions with the USS Russell out in the Channel Islands. Now, imagery released publicly via the Freedom of Information Act shows indistinct, seemingly round objects. However, in July 2019, sailors aboard the USS Omaha recorded intriguing video as nearly a dozen mysterious objects swarmed their ships 120 miles off the coast. In the footage, a spherical object moves against strong winds before descending slowly into the ocean. Now, the following day, sailors aboard the USS Paul Hamilton observed an object descending and splashing in the Pacific Ocean some 160 miles off the coast. That object was part of a larger group of drones that subsequently departed on heading towards Mexico's Guadalupe Island. Wait a minute, Guadalupe Island. Mike, isn't that where the Tic Tacs were heading towards?
yes, Thomas, it was a lot of activity over there, and there's documentaries that are being worked on about the UAP UFO activities specifically in that area.
Yeah. I've got a comment coming in from our friends in the military. What do they say about this? We ain't found shit. That's about where it usually goes, Mike.
Oh, I know, unfortunately, but hey, that might change soon, and we're waiting to see. It'll be interesting.
It seems that any object that they're seeing in the skies these days, whether it has wings or not, whether it has a visible means of propulsion or not, even though it is capable of moving against strong winds, is being called out as a drone. It seems to be the new trigger word they're using for everything that, again, they used to call UAP.
Right, buzzword.
Yeah.
This is the new, the new slogan and term that they're using for just about everything that people see overhead and above.
Everything,
including fog. which people have been talking about a lot lately on social media. Might even be fog as the next drone. Who knows? People are just getting a little ahead of themselves, I think.
Absolutely. Now, getting into our next story on this one, if we can, talking about Luis Elizondo and his new role, potentially what he sees the role of UAPs are. UAP, UAS, that means unidentified aerial systems, aka drones. The vision he sees of what that position could be. I need to take a step out here, Mike, and I know Alice had her hands up a couple times. If you'd like to call on her for me.
Oh, absolutely. Be my pleasure. So go ahead, Alex.
I was wondering, I know there was some material picked up from one of these orbs that was dropping molten metal. I don't know if you heard about that. And
quite a few occasions where that was reported, Alice. What's your question?
Yeah. I'm wondering, has any civilian gotten their hands on any part of these drones? Has anybody picked up anything from them, like part of the body?
Do you mean the drones that have been incurred over New Jersey for over a month now?
The ones that are UAP, yeah. That they think.
Well, it hasn't been established if they are in fact UAP or prosaic drones. The jury is still out on that, but there have been earlier reports of actual UAP that have dropped molten metal on the ground. So if your question is, with those occurrences from the past, has any civilian gotten their hands on that material? The answer is yes. That would be Dr. Gary Nolan, who has done research on it.
I saw it on YouTube today. I don't know whose it was, but they were holding a piece of it up, and but nobody's gotten the body of one of these yet.
You're talking about the drones over New Jersey?
Yes.
No, there hasn't been any direct information, data, or anything confirmed. We're not even sure what type of objects they are, drone, UAP. None of that's been confirmed, and we don't have enough data yet. So it's up in the air until we get some answers out of the White House in about 11 days.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, we can't wait either.
Oh, I hear you, Mike. This is one of the things we're all waiting with bated breath on this one, my friend. Now, if we can, getting into the main story talking about tonight, we've got a document that was put out by Luis Elizondo from the UAP Disclosure Fund called Prioritizing Emerging All-Domain Technologies, which honestly reads like this is Lou's take on what the UAPs are position should be doing within our federal government. I think this is a really interesting one for us and our audience on this one. Let me go ahead and bring it up, and I'll get into this and share it with everybody. So, prioritizing emerging all-domain technologies from our good friend Luis Elizondo. I'll read this for everybody and go through it because I think every word is very essential. In summary, this policy brief highlights one of the most pressing challenges to American and global security. Emerging all-domain technologies, he's calling it EDAT, includes unmanned aerial systems, also known as drones, unidentified aerial phenomena, formerly known as UFOs, and certain other advanced systems operating across the air, space, and sea domains that are capable of intelligence surveillance, reconnaissance, and even kinetic strikes. Now, recent events like the drone incursions in New Jersey and the Chinese spy balloon incidents underscore a critical gap. The U.S. woefully lacks a whole of government solution to EADT. To solve this problem, this policy brief recommends that the president empower a White House senior advisor, or CZAR, within the National Security Council to 1. Coordinate the U.S. government's EDAT response, 2. Formulate policy, and 3. Conduct domestic and international outreach. What is the challenge? EDAT represents a paradigm shift. They combine advanced and, in some cases, beyond next-generation capabilities in stealth, loiter, maneuverability, and speed. These technologies not only herald a revolution in military and intelligence capabilities, but also enable rogue actors to wreak untold havoc. UAP technology in particular could fundamentally alter geopolitics and our understanding of physics. Now, rogue actors to wreak untold havoc. Just think about the situations that Mike and I have talked about many times, to where we've had the landing pads at helicopters shut down. We've had major airports shut down. We've had military bases shut down. Yes, they are wreaking havoc that is more, even told these days. Freaking. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Hey, let's talk about drones first. Ukrainian conflict has witnessed rapid advancements in UAS, revolutionizing warfare and unlocking asymmetrical advantages that have upended traditional combat. I'm sure more than enough people out there have seen they have FPVs, first-person drones. They have teams of the people who operate these out of Ukraine, and from these drones, they were literally go ahead and drop bombs on people who are in trenches. They'll go ahead and impact vehicles or impact people with a big kaboom. They also have ones that have shoot fire, that shoot ordnances like guns. And they also have ones that are not just in the air, but recently they unveiled a whole nother layer of drones that move on the ground for doing their dirty work. It's interesting to see where it's all going. Now at home, UAS frequently violate restricted military and civilian airspace, operating across spectrums, either unintegrated or wholly monitored by our data collection systems. At the federal level, the U.S. military and an alphabet soup of agencies like the CIA, FBI, NSA, NRO, etc., have responded haphazardly to UAS. Meanwhile, state, federal, and local and tribal authorities are left in the dark. Mike, remember when we had about 2 or 3 years ago, we had all those drone sightings that were happening in Colorado and Wyoming and Kansas?
It was pretty widespread, but not as reported on as heavily as by the mainstream media as the ones in New Jersey.
Well, I think part of it, they didn't go on as long. There was a lot of reporting that went on at the time, but yes, it didn't hit, if you want to call it, the beat of the people's thoughts like the drones on the East Coast have hit.
No, it hasn't. But yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah. So let's get into this. You know what? We never got an answer on that, did we?
No, hell no. Nothing out of this administration in regards to any of these issues.
Not one word.
Nope.
Yeah.
You're right.
All right. The proliferation of advanced UAS technology to rogue states and non-state actors portends a great area of future conflict having consequences farther reaching than cyber warfare. In the wrong hands, UAS can surveil and disrupt sensitive U.S. installations and critical infrastructure, disrupt aviation, harass citizens, transport illegal drugs, and facilitate human trafficking. Talking about those cases, remember, we had over 45,000 drone incursions in the last year that Homeland Security went and recorded, Mike, but how many did we get reported? How many did they take down?
60,
it was less than 60.
Right. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
The level of incompetence.
Yeah. Absolutely. More than 20 years after terrorists flew commercial aircraft into buildings on 9/11, and despite the overhaul of the intelligence community prevents such a catastrophe from reoccurring, the U.S. government still has no remedy to UAS. The American people are livid over the chaos and the cover-ups, which clearly it is. Let's get on to the UAP problem. UAP are even more perplexing, possessing capabilities that defy our conventional knowledge, more like that our scientists are willing to accept as real. The intentions behind them also remain dimly understood. Mastery of UAP technology would, however, eclipse the advent of yesteryear's printing press and splitting the atom. Today's transformations in semiconductors and tomorrow's breakthroughs in quantum computing and in artificial intelligence, like all at once. But while the U.S. stigmatizes even discussing UAP, America's enemies are racing to unlock their technology and gain a decisive edge. Consequently, UAP can no longer be distinguished entirely from UAS and other EADT, hobbling our domain awareness and response. Remember, the Air Force has been saying for the longest time, oh yeah, they're around, they come and go all the time, but they're no threat, so we're not going to worry about it. Really? How do they know there's no threat? Just think about that. The presence of UAP and UAS around U.S. nuclear facilities and our national laboratories is especially disturbing, jeopardizing our strategic deterrent and international stability. Although Congress created the here comes the good one. Although Congress created the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as ARROW, within the Department of Defense to analyze UAP, the office remains helplessly mired in bureaucracy, overly siloed, and unable to achieve its mission that almost seems like it's by design. The U.S. government doubling down on the decades-long obfuscation of the UAP matter has similarly eroded the public's trust. Mike, this is the action that we've been seeing coming from the Air Force, because remember, the UAP task force was headed up by the Navy, and that's when we only got the true answers about what was going on in our skies before we went to the frickin' RO that has been perpetuating this cover-up. Your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. No, listen, the Air Force has been covering this up since back in 47 in Roswell. The Navy, when they were running the UAP task force back in 2019, we actually got some answers.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, night and day, depending on which branch of the military seems to be involved directly with this investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like the Navy wanted to move stuff forward, but when the Air Force got their hands back on it again, it was like, oh, no. We're going to shove that toothpaste back in the tube.
Exactly. You know what? And you and I have talked about this on the show and privately. Believe it or not, Arrow, Kirkpatrick, he actually did shove some of that toothpaste back in the bottle.
Oh, he did, because you know why, Mike? Kirkpatrick was basically running, and there was nobody standing up to him. There was no one out there going ahead and challenging any of the statements he was making. It was completely, he had carte blanche in the conversation. And yes, in 2023, actually, no, sorry, in 2024, starting in the beginning of the year, he went for like 3 months unchallenged, didn't he?
Not a peep or a word from
LUE, from Grush, from anybody. No one was challenging him.
Nobody. You're right. We mentioned it. We were covering it the entire time.
Yep.
But nobody else in the community came forward or had said a word against all the horse shit that he was putting out there.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And it did successfully push back then a lot of what the public wasn't sure about what might be going on.
Right.
He did create a lot of doubt
with
the general public.
Absolutely. And it's been our position to go ahead and try and get rid of that doubt, give our audience some actual answers about what's going in the skies. Talking about people who are looking for answers. Andy W., your hand is up. What say you?
Yeah. It does come to mind. Yeah. Why were the likes of LUE and David Grush and other people not actually confronting Kirkpatrick on all of this? You know, their silence allowed him to speak a lot louder. You know, and there was no dissent from anybody, it seems. Actually, you know, nobody mainstream or just, I don't know. That's kind of a thing that sort of gets you in a bit of in the stomach a bit.
It does, because if you look at all the motion we had from David Grush, going all the way up till when he had that, when he appeared in front of a bunch of angel investors or VC people in New York. Everything was going great, and then all of a sudden it fell off the side of a cliff. We were supposed to go ahead and get David Grush's op-ed to talk about a lot of things to move stuff forward. That didn't happen. And what happened next? Sean Kirkpatrick came out and went on parade, one after another interview. And even after the guy had already left Aro and went back to, was it Livermore National Labs, I think?
Oak Ridge,
yeah. Went to Oak Ridge to be either one of their chief operating officers at the location. He even kept on coming out, and he didn't shut up, even though he was gonna shut up.
Yeah, and also, now LUE's back out in the wide world, as it were. But David Grush has gone complete radio silence.
Yeah, he has. Since beginning of, since about a year ago, we haven't heard hide nor hair from him at all.
But it was practically after the hearing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I know there was.
That wasn't the last time we heard from David was in early January in 2024. That's the last time we've heard from him.
So a year of radio silence.
Yeah. Unfortunately so.
But he's had a lot to deal with behind the scenes. He has a lawsuit against the sheriff that released his information.
Yeah, but that's all minor. It's some important stuff, Mike, but it's relatively minor compared to all the things that he's talked against so far. So it's just a matter of, I guess we could look at that particular thing where they expose some information. Oh, wow, look, David Grush, he had PTSD. We already knew he probably did. He went through a lot of stuff. And yeah, sometimes people with PTSD, what do, Mike? They drink and they have issues. It's common with people who've been in the military. So anything that was exposed against David, I don't think there was anything that was that crippling that could have completely shut him up. I think potentially some things happened behind the scenes that we're not aware of yet.
Right. That will eventually come out sooner or later. And we'll be looking out for it and covering it. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, he's been very quiet from the entire time.
Potentially, Mike, as we get through this, let me see if I got that right.
Oh, God.
She's back, but now we've got Luis Elizondo saying, hey, Susan, go ahead and pack your shit. Miss Beautiful is back.
One bit. She was the one that pushed back against him, if you remember, years ago, and said he was never officially working for ATIP or he wasn't assigned in the DOD to any particular thing, and they deleted his emails. So he really is not a fan of hers.
But hey, Mike, we did learn last year that those emails weren't deleted. Actually, they actually found some, and some information came out, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
So if he gets that role in the new cabinet, I don't think she's going to be around, but as a spokesman much longer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I doubt it.
Sorry to bring back the trauma of showing Susan, but we had to.
Oh God, I hate when you do that. It's an erection killer.
Andy W., your hand is up, my friend.
Cheers, Mike. That made me laugh. That one, yeah.
And Kelly, stop talking about the toys in the chat.
Yeah, it's. I'm hoping Lou gets a position in the government. What I would like to see is we'd like to see Susan Gough relieved of her employment, but I would think it would be quite funny if she was re-employed underneath Lou somewhere.
Oh, Lou wouldn't do that.
No, he wouldn't. Then if he did, let's say he had a sick, twisted sense of humor, she'd quit. I know her. She wouldn't put up with that at all. Not one bit. She don't like him either.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be interesting though.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. Mrs. Psyop herself. I gotta close this picture down. It's causing unnecessary trauma. All right, let's go.
PTSD. You're creating PTSD in the audience for the male members of the audience.
Not just the male members, everybody I could have to say on that one. Let's continue on. What is failure's price? The cumulative result of these failures includes 1, unfocused research and development. But apparently, there has been focused research and development, Mike, on the on UAP going back. I mean, UFOs all the way back to 1947, and supposedly we haven't figured out anything yet.
Well, according to Dr. Eric Davis, who's been in the mix for a lot of decades, when he was on the Jesse Michaels interview, he had stated that the way it works for the legacy program in UAP reverse engineering is that they government contracts, private contractors from the military industrial complex, the first one being the RAND Corporation. But they usually last about 10 years because they don't make much progress on the research itself. And then they get out of the contract from the government, and then it goes to different private companies to pick it up. The only one who's been doing it the longest has been Lockheed. And they still have it, and they tried to divest themselves of that material at one point. We knew about that from back when 2008 OSAT. It was Bob Bigelow was trying to get the material that Lockheed was in possession of, and Gary Gensler from the CIA shut that down. So Lockheed is like the grandfathered in main military industrial complex private contractor that has been dealing with these materials. But Dr. Eric Davis had said they haven't made much progress. There's issues with manufacturing the material science, which we can't do yet. And without that, we're unable to make any real breakthroughs with the materials that we're in possession of. And that hasn't changed in all this time, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, you take something that could be millions of years advanced beyond our technology, Mike, and it kind of says exactly where it is. Let's figure out what else Lou has to say here. 2, uncompetitive technological process compared to Russia and China due to over-compartmentalization of classified projects. What was it at one time they said they have, close to 1 million people in China trying to figure this out right now? And here in the United States, we have the number in the hundreds at most?
No. We have David Grush that was at that private meeting here in New York City. And one of the things that he said, he was asked, how many people in total know the full compartmentalization of the...
Well, I wasn't talking about the full story, but we have a bunch of scientists working in compartmentalized silos where information isn't shared. And the total number of people who are looking at this is in the hundreds at the most.
Right. No, you're right.
Not people who have a full view of the overall program, but we have a lot of people working in these small groups, and they can't figure anything out. And when they get requests to go ahead and lower the security because they want to bring more people in, they're denied. And also, the money that we're spending, Mike, 90% has been estimated to go towards security and keeping it secret versus taking all of that money and investing and trying to figure this stuff out.
There's some actual research to make some actual progress. That money hasn't gone for it. Now, for our audience, how much money are we talking about? Well, the DOD has failed multiple audits over the years, and there is a missing, what was it, $21 trillion? Right. $21 trillion missing, and they can't account for it. And where do you think that money went? Obviously, the legacy program. Right. And like you just pointed out, 90% of it was in hiding it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot of money.
Well, even look at the James Webb Space Telescope. That went like 10 years over the time frame it was supposed to take to get it done. And in the final year for them to get it out, Mike, the total budget just for the final year is what the entire program was supposed to cost.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So a lot of people would say, oh, it's just government overspending. No, this is a coordinated effort for corruption and them hiding the truth from the public about what they're spending the money on. And it's the public's money out of our pockets, and they don't have an answer. Or their answer is, we don't know where it went, where it is, it's missing. A hell of a lot of money to be missing.
Absolutely. Ed Brown, your hand is up.
Yeah, I would say probably to clarify this, it's probably better to say that these secret programs have not admitted that they found any progress, that they may have in fact found it, and we just don't know about it. The reason I bring that up, let's not forget, a few days ago we saw the Livelsberger paper that said that we had anti-gravitic capability, and so does Russia. Or parts that maybe not a fully sophisticated one, but there may be some.
But don't you think that if Russia had anti-gravitics, they would have pulled it out of their hat to use in Ukraine?
Well, I think it would depend on, but that's, it would depend on what purpose they were trying to use it for. The anti-gravitic capability would give them the ability to do some of the very fast maneuvers and very sharp turns, but it wouldn't necessarily increase the lethality of their weapons either.
But think about it. If it's anti-gravitic, we could lift anything we want, no matter how big it is, and move it from point A to point B, and we're not using it for that.
Well, part of it is the power source itself, and I'm not a scientist, so I don't want to get too deep into this. But they say it basically works like a large capacitor, but it takes a very high voltage to activate it to get the thing to actually.
Right. And here's the thing. If it deals with anything with the power system, Ed, that would not be in the hands of Lockheed. Anything with the power systems and the use of that technology to generate energy is going to be coming from our Department of Energy, which has even deeper cover-up ability than what we can get out of the DoD and Lockheed, for that matter.
Yeah, so I think the only thing we can really conclude is we don't really have the answers yet. We're still looking for the answers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it sure would be nice if Trump could give us those answers on the 21st of January.
I think we'll get some. I don't think we're going to get everything, but I think we'll get some answers on what's been going on with the drones, at least. I'll take that as a step in the right direction. Daniel, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yes, sir. If these things are state-owned, like China or Russia, I mean, there couldn't be any more valuable assets that they own. And all we'd have to do is knock one down. I don't think they'd be playing on the end of Coast Guard cutters where they can take them down with 50 calibers or anything like that. I mean, all we'd need to get is one, and then we'd be able to re-engineer it. So, I mean, we take our, with it, B1s or B2s or whatever, they launch right out of the middle of the United States. They fly forever and then come back because we don't want them land. You don't want to land them anywhere because we didn't want to give away the technology. I know that's outdated now, but I mean, there couldn't be a more, this hovering over military bases where, I mean, they have all this stuff to their advantage, and according to Stephen Greer, they can shoot them out of the sky, which I don't really think so.
Oh, hell no.
No, I
think the only thing we can shoot out of the sky are David Greer's flares that he drops out of planes.
Yeah, no, I think he has some real thoughts on that, but I think about what the most valuable asset we would have. We'd have anti-gravity. Why would they be just flying over New Jersey? It doesn't make sense.
You wouldn't fly it over New Jersey. You wouldn't fly that over any place where there's a population because you risk it and actually getting taken down and people discovering it, right?
Right, hitting another aircraft or crashing into something or something going wrong. I mean, we build stuff breaks, they fall out of the sky. We can just pick it up and go, oh, now we have the gravity,
exactly,
anti-gravity. So I mean, there's, it has to be something really unique because we're not touching it. We're not shooting them out of the sky. We're not chasing them. We're not, we can see them. And so, I mean, that was just kind of my thought on it. A lot of people going China and Russia and everything else. I mean, why would they be flying? It's a big risk because then we'd be able to re-engineer that technology.
If you notice, the drones are only coming out at nighttime where people can't get a good look on it. Whoever is trying to go ahead and do this is clearly trying to hide what these things actually are.
Well, the people you're dealing with, they say that the UAP people are twice as smart as you and they can read your mind. I mean, maybe this is all part of their plan to do this the right way and try not to freak everybody out. You have to run on toilet paper because you see a UFO in the sky. Maybe this is just kind of easing us into it. I hope so.
Yeah.
Because anything else is kind of odd.
Absolutely. Thanks for your thoughts, man. I appreciate that. If I go ahead and move on at this point now, where was I? Oh, yeah. 3, a chaotic response to incursions. And 4, reactive or non-existent U.S. diplomacy, industrial base, doctrine, and force posture. And 5, citizenry rightfully suspicious of their government. That's what we're dealing with right now in masses. Now, solving the problem. How do we solve it? The EADT represents a rapidly shifting, cross-cutting challenge that demands sustained attention at the highest level. There are, however, several immediate initiatives and policy options available for consideration. Foremost among these is the creation of a senior advisor to the president for emerging all-domain technologies. At a high level, this CZAR 1 would coordinate the whole of government response to these objects. 2, develop a national policy. And 3, serve as a principal advisor to the president and engage with Congress, the media, and the American people on these important issues. Congressional support will be critically important, but the truth of the matter is, we're mentioning Congress on here. Congress has not been able to move this situation forward one bit for the last several years, have they, Mike?
No, not one bit at all. If anything, they have been extremely frustrated by the lack of information coming to the legislative branch.
And everything is locked up in a skiff. They never get the answers they want. They go to meeting after meeting after meeting, and all they do is get shut down and their questions never answered. And they come out of the meetings with saying, we haven't learned anything new.
Right.
So
everything that was in there was just prosaic nonsense.
Right. Again, nods to Congress support, but the truth of the matter is the proof will be in the pudding that comes out of the Trump administration. Now, alternatively, the DOD or intelligence community official could be tasked with the added responsibility of addressing this, but there may be many disadvantages, such as dual hatting may distract that official from existing priorities and lead to mission creep. Depending on the official seniority, they may lack both the gravitas to engage or other elements and the necessary access to the present. You know what's missing in all of these words, Mike?
What's that, Thomas?
Disclosure.
Oh, yeah.
Delivering the truth to the people to stop the cover-up. We're not hearing any of that out of Mr. National Security Elizondo, are we?
No.
Yeah.
We're not.
Now, let's look at his responsibilities. Let's see where it goes. And what are the responsibilities that he's looking for? As established by the National Security Presidential Memorandum or appropriate executive action, this senior advisor would coordinates federal, state, local, and tribal response to these things at home and overseas, such as U.S. military facilities, embassies, nuclear plants, how about national laboratories, and other critical infrastructure. Specific coordination of duties could include integrating domain-specific collection capabilities, improving the tipping and queuing procedure to help establish a common operating picture of U.S. airspace and other domains. Next, optimizing DoD and intelligence community acquisition to bring the needed capabilities quickly to bear. Next, streamlining federal, state, and local and tribal reporting of these things of information through the Department of Homeland Security's fusion centers. And lastly, leveraging U.S. Space Force and U.S. Space Command to ensure national level collection requirements are recognized and fulfilled. Where's the statement that says to fulfill the need for the public's right and need to know?
Yeah, that's not in there.
Oh, let's move on. We might get it lower. Let's see where it goes. Lead discussions with National Security Council and the Cabinet. Formulate an annual national strategy to serve as a blueprint for advancing America's interest in UAS, UAP, and other domestically and internationally. And the strategy would identify global trends constituting threats or opportunities and to delineate priorities and reforms and guide academic and private sector institutions to shape and respond a rapidly changing reality. You know, this doesn't go anywhere close to, remember when RFK Jr. was running for office, he said he was going to go ahead and bring out the truth on UAP, and he said he would do that. We've heard it from many people coming in this administration. We're not hearing any of this coming out of LUE, which is very concerning to me.
Yeah. We're going to have to wait and see how things shape up moving forward.
Yeah. Let's hope he's the right guy for this position.
Yeah. It would be an improvement over what we've gotten out of Arrow so far.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah. All right. Develop other national policies that analyze the potential impact on national security. Our least favorite word here in Disclosure tonight, because that's the reason why they say none of the information about UAPs can come out, because it's a threat. It's a risk to our national security. Economic conditions, which also wind up under national security. The nation's research priorities and foreign policy, which all line up under national security. And to provide assessments to the President, Congress, and relevant agencies. Also, assess all UAP-related classified information. Advise the President, here we go, on the declassification of UAP records, and spearhead responsible UAP transparency. Enforce a 25-year mandatory declassification of UAP information other than as exempted by the President, case by case. Well, there, Mike. There we go.
Yep.
That's a start.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a start. Let me go ahead and bring this up a little bit more next. Recommend statutory and other authorities to enable the U.S. government to protect the homeland and conduct counter investigations and operations. Next, accelerate research and advanced propulsion and technologies by engaging the academic and scientific communities as well as the private sectors. And this is literally dragging the UFO out of the closet, isn't it?
Slowly, yeah. That's what it seems like.
Slowly but surely. And in conclusion, as the evolution in EADT accelerates, challenges are inevitable and looming. The U.S. government must therefore be proactive while the strategic terrain is relatively favorable. It must also better communicate with the American people about the risks and opportunities of drones and UAS, and assure them that all efforts will be made to safeguard the nation. Now, remember, Mike, all of the things we've heard about coming from RO and the DOD is only about the sightings and events that have been happening over military bases. They've never gotten into any of the concern about what's going on with the actual people of the nation that they should be protecting, have they?
No. Nothing to do with the public, nothing to do with any type of civilian issues or commercial aircraft, only military. So right there, they were able to remove a large portion of the information that they've been covering up.
Yep.
It's shitty, but they've been getting away with it. Hopefully that'll change. Hopefully.
I hope so, Mike. Hopefully we'll see something change in the upcoming administration, to say the least. Now, in close, our country has an unprecedented opportunity to recapture the competitive edge. White House recognition and elevation of EADT is one of the most pressing national security issues confronting the incoming administration. I'd say it's actually been confronting our existing administration, but they've been out on vacation for most of the time. A CZAR for EADT will allow the president and other key decision makers to get the answers they need when they need them. Most importantly, America can handle the truth, and Americans deserve the truth. Now, Mike, the only person who I see bucking for this position right now is LUE.
Yeah, well, that statement, the public deserves the truth. The public can handle the truth. LUE has said that countless times. That's a direct quote from him.
Yeah,
So,
he has, hasn't he?
He did it on the show when he was here with us recently.
Yeah.
He made that same point. So, yeah, it's obviously LUE. And, yeah, I'd like to see him get into a position like that and be able to actually do something to move the needle on disclosure from the government side of things. And what is it that you and I have been saying repeatedly the entire time? That it's not going to be up to Congress to get the truth out. It isn't the legislative branch, not the Senate, not the House. It has to come from the executive branch.
Bingo. It has to come from the office of the President of the United States, because people can say, oh, the President isn't briefed in on it. Well, the truth of the matter is the presidents probably have been briefed in on it. And it's just been a matter of inconvenience for them not bringing out the truth. Talking about, Mike, and other news about a matter of inconvenience that's been covered up. You know how our government has been bucking back against the issue with regards to Havana syndrome? How they denied it, how they've denied coverage for people and everything. And it's become a real stain of the cover-up that comes from Monica. No, not from Monica, but from our federal government, especially to all the people and all the bureaucrats who have been affected by this worldwide.
Well, yeah. And we've covered this when it first came out. And since then on the show repeatedly, the government has done nothing but bend over backwards to try to cover this up as well, and they've been successful. They've denied claims. They've denied, and that they denied it was real. They said these people must have PTSD. They're imagining it. It's in their head. They had Gary Nolan finally start to look into it and be with these people and realize it is real.
Yeah,
these people have been seriously injured. They're not imagining it. So, yeah, the government has been at it again with this, just like they have been with UAP and NHI. And now the truth is starting to come out about this as well, finally.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and bring this one up here for us to go ahead and cover. This is a statement that was put out earlier today, I believe. I believe it was today or yesterday. Let me go ahead and this is talking about the transition of our government. We will be briefing the incoming administration on the full scope of ongoing work that should continue, as well as additional areas of focus recommended by the Intelligence Community Experts Panel, which found that a subset of anomalous health incidents cannot be explained by known environmental or medical conditions, and that pulse electromagnetic or acoustic energy remains a plausible explanation in certain cases. As with other health challenges faced by U.S. personnel that took years to diagnose, more like years to keep covered up, sustained clinical research and investigative work is necessary to clarify what causes symptoms our colleagues have reported, and to develop effective medical interventions and prevent future incidents. Our brave colleagues and their families who suffer real and sometimes serious injuries deserve no less. Mike, why is it that we've got less than 10 days until the Biden administration is done? And now the White House comes out and admits what's been going on. It's actually been going on. It's just like the UFO situation, isn't it?
It is. And it's not a coincidence. I could tell you that. So they know that with the incoming administration, a lot of this is going to start to come out. And before they actually are officially over and done, they're going to have to get it on the record so that technically, when it comes out afterwards, they can cover their ass and say, well, you know, we did mention something about this officially before we left. So they're trying to get it out there. What is it when the government wants to hide some breaking news that's going to come out, or like a report? What's the trick that they use? Oh, I know. They wait till Friday at 5 when it's the end of the week and people are busy going home and dealing with the weekend. That's when they slip stuff out, right, Thomas?
Yeah, it does, my friend. Yes, it does. They put it out on a Friday.
Like they're doing it at the last minute.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Alice, you have your hand up, my dear lady?
It's kind of a little bit like breaking news, Thomas, but my friend just called me. Lives about 6 miles. He said there's a whole armada of orbs over him. He's got some video of it, and I'm outside right now going to see if I can see them coming this way.
Oh, wow.
He said there's more than he could count.
Oh, wow. Go ahead. If you get a copy of the video, send it to us to ThomasFesslerChannel at gmail.com.
All right. As soon as he sends it to me, I'll get it.
Thank you very
And
much.
I'm out here now trying to find it too. Trying to find them.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed you get to see them, my dear lady. Yes.
I'm in North Central Florida, just so you know what area it's
Excellent.
happening in.
Thanks for that insight.
Welcome.
All right. Now, Mike, I've got to bring this up. This is a post from Anna Polina Luna. Okay. And she keeps on putting these out here, and it's just saying, she puts out the post of that. What do you think she's trying to say? There's life everywhere in the universe?
Yeah, could be. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. She should be a little bit more specific, though, as far as what the message is, I would think.
Yeah, you would think, but she's trying to get it out there and trying to bring out the truth.
Okay.
Yeah. Ed, go ahead.
Well, I forget the name of the specific name of it, but it's a mathematical formula that she's demonstrating. Is the Fermi principle or something like that? The sum of two numbers is the next number, and then you keep summing the last number. You know what I'm talking about? Is that making any sense?
Fibonacci
sequence, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So that's what that picture shows. And the interesting thing is it shows up in science all over the place.
Yeah.
The galaxy is shaped like that.
It's in galaxies. It shows up in the human body. We've got it within seashells. It's everywhere. We see it in plants. We see it in human life. It's everywhere.
I don't know why she's posting it, but that's what she's representing.
Maybe
she's getting a new tattoo.
Oh, I don't think so, Tim. Good one, though. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, where was I at on this one? Getting the next one. Let's get back into the studio. I've got it here. So, another one coming out. Apparently, in the transition we have coming up, Mike, to this, the Pentagon has had 106 transition meetings with the incoming Trump administration. Tim, since you're up, do you want to guess who they left out? Who hasn't had one meeting with the Trump administration about the transfer of power in the DOD?
Mr. Elizondo?
No, it's Aro.
Oh, Aro, yeah.
Yeah. They have not connected directly with the administration's transition team. Gotta wonder why. I wonder if the new head, John Kozlowski, will be looking for a new job. You never know.
That would be interesting. Anybody that's working there may be looking for a new job. They may shut down the whole agency.
Yeah. Well, Aro, yeah, it's a complete mess, my friend. It's a complete mess. All right, whatever else. Is there anything? I'm trying to look for other stuff here. Oh, no, not that one. Not that one. No, don't want to joke on that one. It's still too recent. No, yeah. All right. I've got an interesting one. I don't know if this is real or not. It doesn't purport to any of the orbs we've seen in the past, although I'll probably say what we're looking at here is probably more likely than not fake, but let's show it anyway. So this shows a fast-traveling bright light orb or sphere that was reported from Hebei, China on January 7th, 2025. What on earth is that? And why does China get more cool stuff? Probably because they've got, well, let's just bring it up.
Resources.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and share this one. All right, I've got the video clip up here. Let's go ahead and play this a little bit more. Let's play this one, 16 seconds long. Let's get to it and make sure the audio's off, and let's go ahead and play it. So we've got an orb moving across the sky. You can see it going by some buildings. Tim, you've seen a bunch of orbs in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
This doesn't act like any orb that I've ever seen or any orb that you have ever seen. Number one, the color is wrong. Number two, the speed that the orb is moving is also much faster, at least the orbs we've got here in the Pacific Northwest. Would you agree on that?
I haven't seen the video up close, but yeah, typically what I have seen, it's kind of hard to tell what the real speed is there.
But also, it's pretty freaking big.
It is big. I had filmed similar things traveling at high speed, actually out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And even here in Salem, I shared
Yeah.
an orb that, we filmed right here in Salem, Oregon. So very interesting. And, I kind of wanted to, this is great that you bring this up right now, because I think a lot of citizen scientists and, people that are endeavoring to capture this stuff are doing a really good job. And to be honest, it seems like the public is far more on top of this topic and the reality of this topic than the media is. And obviously big media is not, covering this topic very well. And they're really anxious to obviously quell a lot of the public fear, that came out of this initially. But, I think it's the ways and means limitations that are kind of hindering the classification of some of the information that's being passed down, which is frustrating. But at the same rate, if this is an unknown, they're using a technique of shock and awe in some way. The public is feeling an element of fear, although they shouldn't. They're feeling it just because there's this big element of unknown, and the media has really done its job of trying to quell the fear instead of playing into it. However, we all know the reality is that there's a big element of these videos that, such as Thomas is showing here, that are relatively unexplainable.
Yeah,
And
but
for
watch
them
this.
To say that they don't know what it is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Now watch
So,
this.
please.
You see the orb pretty much moving along relatively well, right? And then as we're going to get along here, they're going to bring it back. Why is there such a huge jump in one frame of location from there to there? That should be, if they're going to a spot where it's a little bit more light, that should be a seamless movement from the one frame to the next. Next piece about it. These are some trees that are in the way of the overall object that are there. I'm not seeing any real occlusion going on besides them zooming in and zooming out on the object. Those tree branches are relatively strong, at least when you're seeing them here, right? You got the branches and everything that are there in the picture. That object should be covered up. Like I've seen craft that have been flying across in the sky here on a regular basis. Whenever they go behind the Douglas fir trees here that are 150 foot tall, it disappears behind the branches of the tree. You don't see it brightly shining as it could be going through the object. You should see it getting included. So, two things. One is it jumps from this location to that location in one frame. The camera's not moving that much. It's going from one spot to the next. If it was a continuous video, you shouldn't have seen that jump going on. Just saying. So on that note, just kind of get into this based on some other things that let's check this out. All right. You see the stars in the distance here? You see how the stars are dragging out as above the light and beyond it? These should be dots in the sky right now. There's a dots right there. Anytime you're filming an object and it's at nighttime and the object is moving along in the sky and you're moving your camera along with it to try and capture it, this object here should be pulled out in a similar manner like we're seeing the stars off in the distance. But you're not seeing that. That object is remaining perfectly circular. So on that note, we've got a couple things going on here. One is, now the object pulled out in that way, but when it's pulling out to the bottom, we're not seeing the same kind of motion going from the stars itself.
Yeah. And consider the Aguadilla video, how that kind of was shot when the camera was moving and the object was moving.
But that wasn't done with if you want to call it optical, that was done with FLIR. And FLIR and the way they were tracking it and stuff, you don't get these kind of things that get dragged out from the visual light spectrum.
Yeah, excellent. No, you make a great point. And it's tough to discern videos when we're seeing them, online and exactly what they are. But, ultimately people are turning to big media for answers when they're seeing things in the skies. And it's really been squashed pretty quickly, whereas we all know these are still taking place. And a lot of what we're seeing isn't necessarily an agricultural drone, for example, because they don't typically fly at night. Especially,
and it's not a regular drone because you're not seeing flashing lights and anything. This thing is relatively large compared to any of the other drones that we've been seeing, and just in so many different ways. This part really bothers me, where we're seeing the lights getting dried out, because I've recorded the stuff around here, and when you're moving the camera around and trying to capture it, it does cause that object to lengthen out. Even we saw that in the videos that were recorded on the Psionics by Nikki in the video we've got where it was down in Sentinel, Arizona. So again, we want to see real stuff, but we also have to look at the stuff we're seeing with a discerning eye.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get back into here, see if I've got anything less left going here in the stuff we haven't covered yet. All right, I've got I've got a short audio clip coming from Representative Tim Burchett. He's saying, the drones are still out there. He's the guy who keeps uncovering and saying the whole UFO situation is a cover-up. Let's play this little clip from Representative Tim Burchett from the great state of Tennessee. Here we go. Let me bring this one up.
Say a submarine of one of our enemies comes up off the coast of North Carolina, but New York, for instance, and they put 50 or so drones in the air, and they might have a nuclear component, they could have a dirty bomb component, they could have a biological entity, and were to fly in. And now they know they can pretty much just fly in over our military, and when these are over military installations, some of these drones, they could fly in without any notice, without anybody firing a shot, literally. And they know they can do that. And so I would warn people, the drones are still out there and they're still flying, but our media is not, for whatever reason, is not covering it anymore. And we better get a grip on it, because that is a component of the next war that we will fight. Say a submarine.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. What are your thoughts on this one, Tim, since we've got you up here?
Yeah, well, I think he's absolutely right. I sent you a video of an orb, or potentially a drone, that was over the Capitol right here in Salem, Oregon, just about 2 weeks ago. And it was hovering, going up and down. There were helicopters investigating it, and the helicopters really didn't seem to have any effect on it. So I think what Tim Burchett is saying here is absolutely valid and needs to be followed up on. Congress needs to be paying attention to every little detail right now, because remember, we're living in decades of obfuscation, on this topic, and now we've got the reality of drones to deal with on top of it. So it's becoming much and much more blurred for people to get their heads wrapped around it.
It definitely seems that way, doesn't it, my friend? Now, I thought I had a picture. I thought I had a video clip of the drone, or that's not it. Here we go. All right. I've got a clip here that was recorded from Fox News. It is horribly compressed, but it's something I want to go ahead and bring up as well. This is something people had caught during the videos of the fires that were going on over the in California, and they're calling this one out as a UFO. I'm going to call this out and saying it's something we don't know what it is. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here as well. Document guest, here we go. So this is talking about the fires that are going on, and as they're talking about the fires, normally you can see we've got this object here that shoots out of the sky, and then it goes off in the distance and down. So it's clearly occluded at this point, comes down, flies quickly, through the clouds and then back out again. It's an interesting clip, but the quality of the video and knowing what's going on, this one, Tim, I'm going to have to say is remaining as unknown. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I've actually filmed something similar to this in the daytime, and we didn't have an answer. We actually thought maybe it was space debris when we filmed it. But I've seen such similar video, and, you know, for this to be around the fires, again, draws more questions. That's definitely not a drone, you know. That's not something observing the fire. They don't move that quickly unless
Right.
it's very close to the lens. Nothing would be moving that quickly. So that's far from the lens. That is an unknown. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the, you know, and we don't get many of those unknown things you see as just, I mean, if you just look at it, we're just dealing with pixels here and tons of compression. That's what all the dark lines are. So it's hard to know whether this was a plane or anything because you can't tell anything from this, but it's interesting to see as it moves across the sky and gets lengthened out as it's moving.
Would you even consider that potentially being like a spotlight, you know, or light that's being ground sourced, sweeping across the smoke?
No.
One, right?
It wouldn't be a light like that because if you look, let me make sure I've got it here, Tim, for you to show it. Let me bring this back up here again. Document, guest. All right. See how it's getting stretched out? If you have a light moving across, you're going to see that light going across to it. We're not seeing that kind of, we're not seeing the clouds in that same kind of a manner. This is something that's clearly, you know, it's moving fast enough to where the camera can't, which is set to try and pick up things off in the distance, is having a hard time resolving what it's seeing.
Yeah.
And probably what we're seeing, honestly, the trail behind it is an artifact of the compression of the camera.
And this was captured during a live report news?
Yeah, it was. As they're talking about the Eaton fire burns in 400 acres.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I know that there was another UAP that was captured during a news report, I think mentioned earlier on the show by someone. And that was a gray object. And people were like, oh, it's a drone. Well, drones have a really hard time flying in smoke. I can tell you firsthand. I've tried. It's tough. And especially being an operator, you have to set up everything before and let it either do it automatically and not operate.
Right.
And then oxygen is an issue because obviously it needs to have control and heat. So all those elements make it tough. So drone, big question mark in my opinion on some of these videos that are coming in from the fires.
Now I've got another one here. Again, we don't have the original videos. This is a recording of on someone's television set. Let me go ahead and bring this one up as well. You can see that they're playing it back on a Mac at this point. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here. Document guest. This is another video we've got of some people doing some skydiving. You can see down at the bottom, they are playing it back on a Mac and they're going ahead and watching it. And this is someone who is jumping out of a plane. And as they're, and they got that creepy music in the background, which as soon as you hear that stuff, I'm going to call out fake on this one. But this one's interesting as the person is falling through the sky, they've got him going in slow motion. You've got an object that's starting at the bottom of the scene here. Mocha, what the hell are you doing? Crazy husky. Sorry about that. Hurting the dogs. Let's go ahead and play it. And let's get in here and just bring this up a little bit so everyone can go ahead and see it. Let's go. What I like about it is we've got the motion where it's jumping from frame to frame. What's interesting though is it goes for every 3 frames of movement or longer. It's moving a dot at a time, which generally when I've seen objects like this and they're moving really fast, they just don't jump like that. like we're seeing going across, every single frame coming out of the video, you're seeing a consistent movement of that object across the viewport. So, and also, if you take a look at the object, it's not necessarily pointing in the direction that it's in. So what we're potentially looking at here is a video that's been re-encoded multiple times to where we're seeing an averaging of frames going, Tim, versus actually something that's real. So without actually seeing the full video of this, I don't think we're going to be able to know whether this one's real or not. But it does have the right look where you're seeing the object skip from location to location to location to location. That indicates UAP. But when it's in a particular location for 3 frames, and then it jumps to the next one, and then it jumps to the next one, it could be, but again, that's just a behavior that I'm not used to seeing. What are your thoughts?
No, you're nailing it. You know, as a video expert, it's tough to weed through this stuff without the original. And so something like this, when you see it kind of changing direction, things like that, that seems to make it feel a little bit more organic, actually. But it's so hard to determine on multiple generation video, like you're saying. For me, something like this is good. Like
something else, though, I'm seeing, though.
I've seen things like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Watch how the speed is inconsistent. It's speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down. Which again, when you're seeing, there it goes to slow down there, almost stays in position, slows down here in movement, slows down a bit more, and then starts picking up again. Generally, if this was an object that was going from point A to point Z, you should be seeing a consistent amount of movement, not only from frame to frame, but also as a consistent speed.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it brings me back to my very own personal experience that brought me to you initially those years ago, the Bainbridge Island Tic Tac event that my family witnessed and filmed. Very similar sort of thing, you know, so something like this, I can totally relate to, especially that shape. And, you know, if it was to do something crazy, like stop and open a portal, well, hey, then maybe we've got a matching scenario.
Yeah. Andy W., you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one. It's a different perspective on looking at something. Normally, it's footage looking up at the sky. This is actually from a plane looking down towards the ground, which is quite interesting. But you know, again, there's no context over the size of this thing. You know, like you say, it's not the original footage of what was filmed. It's
I'll let you guys talk about this. I've got the video on LUE playing back in real time. I need to head to the restroom for a second. Go ahead, Andy and Tim.
Yeah. So, you know, could it be something that's come from the plane, debris or something? You know, they're jumping out of the back. So I'm taking, you know, this isn't a plane that they've jumped out the side door. So to me, this looks like it's a military plane, something like a Hercules. It's, you know, you know, it's very difficult to see the sort of the way the footage is actually filmed. It's very narrow. You're not getting a wide view of the back of the plane where these people are exiting, but it looks like they're throwing themselves out the back rather than out the side. Again, that's to me more of a military plane. Yeah, I find it quite. It's interesting, but is it one of those again? You know, Tim, you've had a lot of experience in this. I know of looking at footage and things.
Yeah, no, I like the way your mind works on this, Andy, and absolutely, it potentially could be something that had fallen out of the plane. You're absolutely right, and that's why you need the full footage. You know, not just the 10 seconds that are questionable. You need the minute that leads up to this. You need the minute or two after it leaves the frame. But you're absolutely right. Now, if we were to take it on face value, sometimes, I know this sounds crazy, but airplanes can actually appear to look like a white cylinder at the right angle. Now, you're looking down on this potentially, so you would see wings, but ground-based observation for airplanes can sometimes make things look cylindrical, whereas there are actually wings on that plane. So in this example, again, it leads me more to the question mark, because we would see wings on this if it was a plane.
Yeah. Good point, my friend. Lord McCormick, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, just to point to Anonymous Rex's point there, we live on the final approach for all three London's major, even though we're 30 miles out, you know, they have to sort themselves out above us. We've also got Fairford just up the road. And during the day, especially on a clear as winter's day, if the sun catches them right, I could easily film them and they just look like cylinders. Even though, you know, once the sun tilts or the plane adjusts to the light, you see the wings, you see the aerolines, and you see the stabilizers. But there are points the sun catches the aircraft just right. It doesn't look like it. You know, it just looks like a cylinder, a white cylinder.
Yeah. Good points, though.
That's how it goes.
Absolutely. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, so many times I've had to be the bearer of bad news. When people have brought me interesting videos, I just look up the date and I go to my ADBS tracking and I look up the flights and, oh, sure enough, it turns out that it was an airplane.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of these situations where, hey, it could be a plane, it's such an easy resolve while you're there in real time, just to bring up an app and double check your information, because you're absolutely right, Lord. So many planes are misidentified as UAP, especially high flying planes.
Yeah. Good points, Tim. Absolutely. Not meaning to put you in the UFO hot seat, my friend, but I know you've recorded a bunch of interesting things back in the day. Real interesting. Real quick, I want to thank Faisal for the wonderful support and ongoing super chats to Disclosure tonight. Wow, it's been a great show. Who could have think 2 hours could go by so quickly? You know what I mean? Tim, hang out in the back or something I want to remind you of after the show. Also, Alice W., you have your hand up, my dear lady.
Yeah, I looked at one of the videos and there are a massive amount of orbs up there. I'm sending it to you now. This is the second video that he took. And it's very cloudy here, so they're going in and out of the clouds.
Interesting.
And as he's panning around, you can see them all up in the clouds.
Yeah.
You want me to send this to
you?
you
Send it to me. Do you mind if we cover it tomorrow? Will you be around?
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's cover it tomorrow if we could.
All right, just send it to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Alice. More importantly, hey, Mike, is there anything we haven't covered yet today?
Well, I think we covered a lot. It's been one hell of a show so far.
Oh, I know.
And yeah, it's been fun. And we covered a lot of different angles. So I think we're good for tonight.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate that. First of all, I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your wonderful support of everything we do here on Disclosure tonight. Who am I talking about? Who gave us super chats tonight? Daryl Zernick just threw one out for $5. Thank you much, Daryl. Faze Will for $20. Stay safe in LA, my friend. Stay safe. Tamisha Bertrand from Washington. Thank you very much, Tamisha. Brendan England, Kane Northrup, and Jay Fliger again. Thank you very much for all your love and support of everything we do here on Disclosure tonight. I'm humbled and thankful, honestly, of all the support we get here on a regular basis. This is a fan-funded program. I can actually say it right without stumbling on my words. On that note, I also want to go ahead and thank everybody in the chat who has been out there today. Who am I talking about? Let me see how quickly I can get through this. Who do we have out in the chat today? Let's thank A-Husk, Al Duff, Elcino has been here, along with Andy W., Anton Ghost. Brennan here, along with Brett. CEO Videos has been here, along with Daryl, Eric Roth and the Gurus, Firefly, Heiser Soze. Jan's been here. Such a trooper. Thanks for coming out, Jan, and thanks for sharing our email address for someone to go ahead and send stuff, videos to us on Disclosure tonight. Also want to thank JCat, Jessica, Jonathan, Johnny, Juliana, Kathy, Kelly Brought those piercing blue eyes. Thank you for coming here, Kelly. Clipper's been around along with Mammy, Man, Marcus and the Mandels, Moon Pie, along with Nancy, Kuzmano, Nicholas Urick, Peggy and her South Florida friends. That would be Crockett and Tubbs and Steve. Hugs for all of them, my dear lady. Peter, I want to thank you for being here. Faze Will, Philip, Rainstorm Hunter, Ray's been here along with Renan, Rough Reddy, Sam, Tiru 2, thank you very much. The Life of Honky Tonk, the Mac Geek, Tia Marie, as well as Two Head 666, VMFE Yankee 58, and coming in the end, he showed up. Dead fish cheese spread. How about that? Well, dead fish. Could that be Tom with a thumb? Could that be Thom? It could be. You never know, because fish is like fishing, like you're a security person. There's a hint on that one. You never know. On that note, I also want to go ahead and thank everybody who's been in the back today. A lot of great questions and participation from our panel. Alice, thanks for all your questions, and thanks for helping find some videos to share for tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait, Thomas.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank Mocha the Wonder Dog. Come here, girl. Take your cookie. Come on. Take your cookie. Oh, yeah. There you go. Thank you, girl. Also want to thank Anonymous Rex, also known as Tim. Thanks for coming out today, Tim.
Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun. Great catching up.
Thank you, sir. Also, Andy W. from the United Kingdom. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, great show, Thomas. And it's brilliant to have Tim back. Please don't be a stranger, mate. And I just want to remind everybody about the earlier show for 10 p.m. GMT tomorrow.
Yes, 2 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. GMT. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that. Also want to thank Daniel. Thanks for the question tonight, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Ed Brown, thanks for the camaraderie. I appreciate it.
It was good to be with you tonight, Thomas. And I think Mike hit the nail on the head. It was a really great show. You did a super job, and we just need to see what's going to be next around the corner.
Oh, we're not too far away. 11 days out, less than 11 days out to see where this is going to go. All right. Freezerman 71. Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome, Thomas.
Absolutely. Lord McCormick, thanks. That bread looked yummy.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that, man. See you guys tomorrow. Great show tonight. It's just great to be part of this community, and I really appreciate being involved. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you for being here. Also, Susan Ford, none of your business. Appreciate you coming out.
You delivered another good show, Thomas. Very, very informative.
Thank you very much. And that brings us back to no one other than, where's it at? Mike, Disclosure. Thanks for coming out today, my friend.
Oh, it was fun. My pleasure. We covered a lot of ground. Brought a lot of information out to the audience, and we're going to do it again tomorrow for our international audience on Saturday.
You better believe it, my friend. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everyone. But
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Oh, that's great.